Valorant's gun meta has been pretty stable for quite some time now. The same rotation of 5 weapons seems to be used in every game, with only a few oddballs being used in certain situations or by people who are just trolling. But what if Riot added some specialty weapons that spiced up the game's arsenal? What's going on, ProGuides family? It's your host Sergeant Frost, and today we're going to talk about 4 guns that Valorant should add into the game. Let's not waste any more time and let's jump right into it. Before we move on, the guns that we talk about today are not officially confirmed by Riot, nor are they in production in any way, shape, or form. Every gun we talk about is speculation, or has a similar alternative that appears in other games like the Counter-Strike series. The purpose of this video is to talk about new gun ideas that the game could use, and how it could benefit the Valorant gun meta and make the weapon economy more diverse and fun. Valorant is planning on becoming a mainstay game that's designed for the very long term. So, new weapons will eventually need to find their way into the game over time. In fact, a Riot game dev has talked on stream about how adding guns is a definite consideration for the future. So, this isn't a dead topic. Now, let's talk about the first gun we think should be a good addition into Valorant. The first gun we are going to talk about today is a hypothetical gun that is a new silenced rifle. Think of the silenced M4 from CSGO, but toned down in power level with reduced damage, range, and fire rate. The purpose of this gun is to create a secondary option for strong anti-force buys. Valorant has fewer options to deal with forcing teams compared to CSGO. This game needs a formidable gun that can be used by teams after they lose a buy round, that at least gives them a chance to succeed and not get steamrolled by a team that bought full. Right now in Valorant, your only hope at winning an eco or a half buy round convincingly is if you buy judges and armor and pray that the enemy engages you at close range. Putting all of your hopes of winning a round into a broken shotgun and that the enemies are playing risky is not a solid strategy to use to win, and that's why a rifle of this caliber is needed. This rifle is silenced simply for noise reduction, reduced muzzle flash, and to limit damage range, since this will be a cheaper than standard rifle. I know a lot of people will say that we already have the Bulldog that kind of serves this purpose in game, but in reality, the Bulldog is the most neglected and inconsistent gun available in Valorant. The Bulldog lacks damage, range, fire rate, and even magazine capacity to be a truly anti-force weapon in Valorant, not to mention its wicked recoil pattern and hipfire, and how unreliable its 3-round burst ADS mode can be. This silenced rifle will be a step up in general power level from the Bulldog, but it will still be inferior to the more expensive common rifles in the Vandal, Phantom, and even Odin. This gun's intended niche is to be a longer ranged buy alternative. The Spectre, Stinger, and shotguns excel at less than 15 meters. This gun is supposed to deal a reasonable damage past that, but still not be on the same power level as the Vandal and Guardian. This gun's price should fall somewhere between 2,000 and 2,800 credits. The goal of this weapon is to not be overpowered at all. It simply needs to be serviceable as a rifle and competitive with most guns at close to medium range. Even though Valorant has had its fair share of broken guns since the game has been released, the lower economy weapons not named the Judge have always found themselves inferior in power to the high economy weapons, or they simply are very inconsistent when used practically in game. Whether or not Riot does end up adding low economy guns like these into the game, you as a player should be proficient with all guns in the game if you want to climb to the highest ranks of solo queue. That's why recently we here at ProGuides have teamed up with one of the best players in the EU region, Scream from Team Liquid, to create an all-encompassing course on the ins and outs of the duelist role in Valorant. You'll be learning the fundamentals and the pro tips he uses in pro matches to dominate on the flashy hard carry duelist agents in Valorant. Head over to ProGuides.com to get access to this course today. The next gun we think Riot should add into the game is a straight burst fire gun that's on or close to the power level of the main Phantom and Vandal rifles. While Valorant does have a 3-round burst gun in the Bulldog, this gun isn't truly burst only because you must ADS with the Bulldog in order to unlock its burst fire mode. This new gun should be comparable to the Hemlock from Apex Legends. The Hemlock in Apex is a formidable weapon that can hold its own against other main rifles in the game. The main point of this gun is to have a medium to long range burst fire option within Valorant. Right now, the only non-full auto main rifle on Valorant's gun roster is the Guardian. And the Guardian has been going through an identity crisis ever since the game released, so this gun does not fit the need of a specialty gun in-game. The goal of this new weapon is to be precise with bursts at range, and its main weaknesses will be spray downs at close to medium range. If you play Apex Legends, you know that the Hemlock excels at knocking players down at range with a few well-placed bursts. Its main weaknesses are dealing with multiple people at once and getting multiple accurate bursts off on people at very close range. That is the goal for this gun's implementation into a game like Valorant. I think this burst rifle should have 30 rounds and it should have a burst delay to prevent it from being broken. The thing about burst and semi-auto guns in video games is that the burst delay built into these weapons will determine if they're busted or useless. A short to non-existent burst delay will make this gun a close-range monster that deletes people before they even hear the shots ring out. If you remember the M8A1 from Call of Duty Black Ops 2, you know exactly what I mean when I say that a no-delay burst weapon can ruin a game and its experience. This gun should have lower to medium bullet damage with average penetration in order to make sure it stays balanced. Low bullet penetration makes sure that this gun will wallbang people through thick walls like the Odin and Ares are capable of doing. And the low bullet damage makes sure that you need to land the entire burst on someone in order for it to one-shot them or do significant damage. In past FPS games, burst rifles with high bullet damage become broken because you could land a full 3-round burst on a lower part of the body and still one-shot someone no matter the range. The main goal of this rifle is to be a competitive rifle at medium to long range. The last thing the devs want is for this gun to be able to burst someone to the kneecaps at close to medium range. While I do agree that a headshot should have a damage multiplier to allow this gun to always one burst to the head at any given range, the body parts should not have a damage multiplier that allow this gun to one burst someone from across the map with just leg shots. This type of gun in Valorant will be need to balance very particularly in order for it to work. Burst guns walk a fine line between useless and obnoxiously broken. I applaud the devs for their gun balance so far this year because they have answered our calls and have nerfed guns that have gotten out of line, which is something they have struggled to do in the past. While this burst gun could add a lot of diversity to the Valorant gun meta, I don't want them to add something that makes me regret getting on to play ranked. Before we move on with the video, we have to get to our question of the day. Today's question is, if Riot does add new guns to the game, what class of weapons should get the new addition? Personally, I think the SMG, shotgun, and LMG classes all need new weapons. These classes feel very one-dimensional and need another gun to add some alternative options to the class. For instance, the SMG class could use an MP9 or a P90 to give the category a gun that does low damage, but has a huge magazine capacity and a high rate of fire to make it competitive in very close ranges. And the shotgun class could benefit from a gun that shoots slugs instead of buckshots. This would allow the gun to excel at medium to long range and not up close. Think if the Bucky right click had its own gun that allowed it to one shot to the head at long range but two shot to the body up close. This gun would be balanced around its strengths and would add some great weapon variety to the shotgun class. Let us know in the comment section what type of gun you would like added into the game and why. Now let's get right back into the video. Okay, so this next weapon further expands on our SMG idea from the question of the day. The next gun Valorant should definitely add to the game is a high rate of fire, large ammo capacity SMG. This gun could be a remade Stinger or it could be an entirely new gun in its own right. Think of the MP7, MP9, and the P90 from CSGO. These guns all have low penetration, low bullet damage, and short range, but they make up for this by having larger than normal magazine capacities and higher rate of fires. This allows for these SMGs to be dominant up close and weak to useless at longer ranges. This gives players an alternative to shotguns for super up close fighting. Let me clarify, when I say super up close fighting, I'm talking less than 10 meters. Think of splits B main square footage when I say less than 10 meter engagements. One of the most one-dimensional and non-exciting weapon classes in Valorant is the submachine gun class. This is mainly because this class only has two weapons and they're fairly similar in how they operate. The Stinger is a bullet hose that's meant to get one kill and then reload, and the Spectre functions as a close to mid-range SMG that's meant to spray people down. But most times, people get more long-range kills with it than close range. Adding an MP7 or P90 type of gun into Valorant would give another option to players who anchor bomb sites that need a high rate of fire gun that needs to be able to cut multiple people down that fly into sight quickly. A lot of people complain that shotguns are overused in Valorant, and that's mainly because there aren't many consistent short-range guns in the game outside of the Bucky and the Judge. Adding in these large ammo capacity SMGs would encourage a lot of players to put down the annoying shotguns and pick up SMGs that can be used to attack and defend in its own right. While a lot of these guns we talk about are fictional and just speculation, I do believe that the one class that desperately needs alternative options are the SMGs, because adding in extra SMGs that are unique will give players a reason to put down more annoying weapons in Valorant and use more specialized choices in game. The last weapon we think Riot should add into the game is a large mag capacity pistol that can be used on pistol rounds. To give you guys a mental visual model, think about if the 5.7 from CSGO was added into Valorant. There's no question that the primary fire mode on the classic pistol is underwhelming and very inconsistent. And the fact that the classic pistol only has 12 rounds means that it's easy to run out of ammo on pistol rounds. Even the Glock from CSGO at least has 20 rounds compared to the classic pistol's 12. A 5.7 type pistol should cost 500 to 600 credits, and it should be a competitive large mag option to the classic. This gun should have a medium to high rate of fire as a semi-auto pistol, and it should have decent damage to justify its high price. Adding in a gun of this caliber will make eco rounds and half-buy rounds a lot more diverse. If you don't want to spend the extra cash on a Spectre, Judge, Ares, or Marshall, you can opt to buy a 5.7 pistol that can brawl it out in gunfights in close range. The goal with this gun is to play in enclosed spaces and tap away at people that try to push you with their rifles. This gun isn't the most optimal to use on pistol rounds because the Frenzy and Ghost already exist, but it can certainly find a home for itself on the economy and half-buy rounds. To close out this video, once again, all of these guns are fictional and are currently not confirmed or in development at Riot Games. These are all guns that we think would add diversity to the weapon meta in Valorant. If Valorant wants to be a game that's going to be relevant years from now, eventually they are going to need to add guns in order to create content and to keep the game fresh while also balancing other guns. While it might not seem like we're going to get new guns in the next year, new weapons could be on the horizon much sooner than we think. Well guys, that's all we have for this video. If you enjoyed, please like the video, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell notification icon to ensure you stay up to date with our videos and ahead of the competition. If you want further help, feel free to check out our website ProGuides.com for the very best on-demand coaching. Our coaches are among the very best, and we hope that you check them out if you enjoyed the video. This has been your host Sergeant Frost, and I will see you all in the next one.